Welcome, viewers around the world, to the RUMBLIN podcast. My name is Ryan Fouracre, and I am officially uncensored. As Nelson Mandela once said, it's been a long walk to freedom of speech, but now I'm back with a monthly nightly forum for fabulous guests, fearless debate, and yes, of course, some fun and some wrestling. Now, as you may have heard, for the first time in 6 years, I have a rather lively encounter with YouTuber, artist, illustrator, and my former friend enemy I've personally known in real life named Shanata Beta, the most lovable, bubbly, cutesy, and sometimes most random person in the world. It's already made headlines across the entire community, and it was the biggest and most explosive reunion of 2024 that I ever took part in.
In a world where two YouTubers became enemies, now, after 6 long years, they finally go head to head.
It's a big moment for us, you know?
A YouTuber artist in denial.
Let bygones be bygones, or whatever the correct phrase is.
The bygones have already been bygones.
Why did you change your name?
I was slowly just becoming a little bit more boring.
The biggest and most explosive reunion of 2024.
You have no respect for people with mental health.
What I will say is I was always aware of mental health.
I used to annoy the hell out of you with Rouge the Bat.
But if there are any Rouge fans out there, just know I completely see why you guys love Rouge. I do not blame you.
Fouracre versus Shanata Beta.
This whole conversation's been long overdue.
This is in the past, and now we're just going to move on.
I still think this is a rivalry, Shanata Beta. Stop lying to yourself, okay? Now, Shanata Beta has just issued a private statement to one of our members of staff regarding this 1-minute promo. She said that the interview was fine, but completely denied that it was the biggest and most explosive reunion of 2024 as truthfully advertised, saying it was just, quote, calm, casual, and nothing intense was brought up in any way, shape, or form. But in the end, she said she actually enjoyed doing the interview with me, and she predicts big ratings. And the really good news is that apparently I'm not a complete cringe lord, which was an enormous personal relief. Well, more on that story later, but first, I want to issue an urgent trigger warning. For all ultra-sensitive, permanently offended, woke, snowflakey fucking douchebags, collectively known as the IWC, who may have accidentally tuned into this new wrestling podcast tonight, you're not going to enjoy this show. You're not going to like it one bit. In fact, it's going to really piss you the fuck off. It may even provoke trauma and PTSD. Because I'm going to be constantly celebrating the one thing that you dismissive, fanatical, whiny, fucking, toxic, basement-dwelling, fat mufflers never ever abide. Free speech! And that's real free speech, not your free speech, where only your opinions are allowed. And anyone, including myself, that have a different opinion to you, has been shamed, abused, physically attacked, and then cancelled. Their lives, careers, reputations completely destroyed. No, the free speech is what it's supposed to be. The true bedrock of any real democratic society within the wrestling community. The kind where it's okay to disagree. It's alright to respect and tolerate other wrestling fans' views. Hell, it's even okay to go out for a beer with a local lad. Or it's even okay to have free anal oral sex with a girl, both of whom you just spent countless hours arguing and shouting at about the burning issues of the day. Many great people said many great things about free speech. One of my greatest idols I ever looked up to in my whole life, Winston Churchill, said that some people's idea of free speech is that they're free to say what they like, but if anyone wants to say anything back, that is an outrage. What about US President George Washington? He said that if freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. What about that controversial 60-year-old fucking cockbag of a moron I personally hated for 3 long years, Piers Morgan? He once said that if we do not believe in freedom of speech for people we despise, then we do not believe in it at all. But my all-time favourite comes from the brilliantly fearless and provocative British-American author, journalist and paralysis Christopher Hitchens, who said, "My own opinion is enough for me, and I claim the right to have it defended against any consensus, any majority, anywhere, any place, and any time. So anyone who disagrees with me on this can pick a number, get in line, and kiss my fucking ass." My thoughts 110% exactly. Now, there will be instances where I will shame and abuse any wrestler or wrestling fan who come on my Rumbling podcast to challenge me and my own opinions. And trust me, I take all types on here. But nobody's ever getting cancelled on the Rumbling podcast, because this is a no cancel zone. No opinion will be silenced, no debate will be off limits, no fucking bullshit will be tolerated, and yes, if it's alright with you, we're gonna fucking enjoy ourselves! I couldn't put it better than the late great Australian cricket genius Shane Warne, one of the most iconic sportsmen in the whole wide world.
And in this politically correct day and age, we've just got to be a little bit careful, but sometimes just say, get stuffed to the fun police.
Well said, mate. You heard him, fun police. Get stuffed, you worthless, friendless, fatty hit little piece of shits. My mission statement for this new wrestling podcast is very simple. I'm going to destroy the IWC, and I'm going to officially cancel the cancel culture within the wrestling community. I'll defeat this insidious, joyless societal scourge with those most effective democracy-preserving weapons: common sense and truth. And that's the truth, by the way, not your truth. And definitely not this 60-year-old fucking cockbag's truth. I'll always fight your corner, and I'll always have your back. Well, unless you're a member of the IWC who want to wreck and kill any innocent wrestling fan with an opinion that you've ruled as offensive. Or cancel crusaders trying to rewrite wrestling history as one great soppy-ass apology, conducting the banishing inquisition, sailing the internet on your purity purge, stamping your extremist views on the rest of the world with no tolerance for any discussion or debate. Or ideological imperialists waving your digital snitchforks, hounding some of the greatest male and female wrestlers on this planet out of their jobs and reputations because they tweeted something that you didn't like. Or hypocrite wrestlers pontificating about equality from their very own homes or gyms, and constantly celebrating and constantly preaching one thing while doing the complete opposite themselves. I'm thinking of the type. Right, you fucking moron? Or idiotic Trojans engulfing the internet in your flames of rage when people dare to say vulgar things like, oh, kids and children are like little porn stars. They may be cute, but they spread disease. Or internet excavators raking over ancient social media profiles in search of fossilized evidence that someone you disagreed with wasn't really a wrestler that you liked who tragically died. Or prevaricating wrestling promoters who lie, cheat, break the law, and blunder without accepting accountability. Or virtue-signaling carnivores who want to make mincemeat out of people like me for eating vegan shit, without seeing the irony. The one common trait for the entire IWC within the wrestling community is insufferable self-righteousness. They don't just think they're right, they know they're right! And anyone, including myself, who says otherwise has to be forced to go fucking kill themselves by jumping off a 6-foot-high cliff! For real! Well, I've got some breaking news for all you basement-dwelling, hate-spewing, cock-sucking motherfuckers tonight. Nobody's right all the time. Not even me. Well, although my record is admittedly much more better than everybody else, it's okay to be wrong. It's alright to evolve your opinions when facts happen to change. Whether you live in England, Ireland, America, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand, it's time you fucking countries go back to being real democracies. Silencing, censoring, no platforming, cancelling, and physically attacking wrestling fans who disagree with you isn't democratic or liberal. It's actually a form of modern-day fascism, which of course they profess to hate. Now, I've always loudly and proudly stood up for and respected women, black people, civil rights people, gay people, and trans people. I've always stood up and respected them, and I always will. Because I believe in fairness and equality for everyone. But that hasn't stopped those IWC morons branding me racist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic. And that's some of the loveliest things they call me. All abusively spewed towards me, especially from some of them that may have that stupidly disingenuous be kind hashtag in their social media bios. There's nothing kind about these dumb morons, nor any room for logical reason in the perverse world of liberal authoritarianism. These are dangerous times for democracies within the wrestling community that are built on free speech. We regress thousands of years back to the days where warring tribes of people who looked the same, sounded the same, dressed the same, and thought the same marched out, spears out, baying for the blood of anybody remotely different to themselves. And unfortunately, I've reached a very unsurprising conclusion. The wrestling world's gone mean, it has, right? With TV networks like Fox or USA Network censoring hilariously creative and vulgar fan signs because the IWC morons might trash them for being problematic. When fans jump the barricade and physically attack wrestlers that they hate, despite the fact that the wrestlers are only storylined characters and are completely different to their real-life counterparts. When wrestling promoters like Tony Khan constantly going on Twitter rampages because other wrestling companies are trying to overcome him and his work, even though he should just put his phone down and fix the issues that had plagued his company in the first place, like a true professional wrestling promoter. When those like Brock Lesnar falsely accused of something that he is truthfully not, as since the day the allegation was first brought to life, there are no more further legit concrete evidences being handed out in order to continue supporting the case. And when the big Valboski, Val Venus, has had his actual cock removed. Alright, okay, minus the Val Venus bit, but night after night, I'll highlight this other bullshit for what it really is. Bullshit. Because the wrestling world has gone to shit, and not even a global pandemic, a war in Europe, or any other real world issues we're currently facing right now seem to snap us all out of it. So let me and the RUMBLIN podcast be your island of sanity, your department of common sense for the wrestling community, the last refuge of the slant. We're global, we're going to piss off the wrong people, we're going to piss off those who are innocent and don't want to be bullied, and I am officially, fully uncensored. Now, with that all being said, let's all dive into the inaugural episode, as tonight, this isn't just about wrestling or those pesky IWC morons. This is about a topic that's as layered as a championship title. Friendship, rivalry, and the complexities of human connection. For those who have followed my journey, you know that I've had a storied history with my first ever guest for this podcast, named Shinata Beta. And, as aforementioned, it's been 6 long years since we last met and spoken to each other. And let me tell you, those years we had together had been filled with ups and downs, triumphs and tribulations. Now, for those who don't know her personally, Shinata Beta goes by her real name, simply Shauna. And from what I know, that she is a really talented artist and YouTuber, boasting up to 23,000 plus subscribers. She is someone who has carved out her own space in the digital world, while I know very well that she is never a wrestling fan, but her creativity and passion for everything else she does on her end are quite possibly undeniable. She and I were once close friends, going back to the days of secondary school back in 2013. But in 2016, like many friendships, ours became, well, complicated. We've had our fair share of laughs, but then we also had our fair share of conflicts. There are moments of creativity and collaboration, but also moments of betrayal and hurt. It's easy to label someone as a friend or enemy based on a few incidents, but the truth is, people nowadays are very much multi-faced. Yet despite the hatred that we all had towards each other, we always admired our abilities to express ourselves for our own work sometimes, even if we both don't see eye to eye. Now, I know what you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Ryan, why are you talking to Shinata Beta? Didn't you two have a falling out? And you're making a huge mistake in talking to her, Ryan, because she may not have changed after 6 long years. And yes, you lot may be right on these things, but listen, it's been again 6 long years since I last spoken to her, and I can already hear the whispers in the background, like, why would you even consider having her on your podcast? She's done you absolutely dirty. But here's the thing, life is very much like wrestling, right? It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes you find yourself in the ring with someone you thought you'd never face again. And as I just mentioned, Shinata Beta and I had our fair share of moments, both in the ring of friendship and in the arena of life. We were once inseparable, creating art, making videos, and sharing dreams. But then, in 2016, like a poorly executed finishing move, things really fell apart between us two. Now, I won't get into the nitty-gritty of our past, but let's just say there were a lot of misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and drama that could rival up any wrestling storyline. But it's the kicker. I've always believed that every story has 2 sides. And while I spent a lot of my years reflecting my own, I've also come to realize that people can change. They can grow. and they can evolve. Now, I know a lot of you listening are probably shaking your freaking heads thinking, you're just opening up old wounds. But let's be real for a second here. Holding on to grudges is like carrying around a heavy championship title that you never got to show off. It just weighs you down, and it keeps you from moving forward. So, I decided to reach out to Shinata Beta because after 6 long years, I want to see if we could find any common ground. If we could put the past behind us, and maybe even create something new together. And that's what tonight's inaugural episode of the RUMBLIN podcast is all about. Exploring the unexpected, embracing the chaos, and finding the beauty in this mess. So tonight, I'm inviting all of you to join me on this journey. I want to hear Shinata Beta's perspective, her thoughts on art, life, and maybe even wrestling. I mean, who knows? Maybe I can convert her into a fan one day. I don't know. But I also want to address those of you who are right now thinking I'm making a huge mistake. I get it, alright? You're all very protective of me, and you don't want to see me get hurt from her again. But I believe, that's in my view, I believe that reconciliation can be powerful. It can lead to healing, understanding, and even creativity. And just like in wrestling, where rivalries can turn to alliances, I think there's potential for something beautiful here. So as we dive into this conversation, I ask you all to keep an open mind and an open heart. Let's all explore the complexities of our rocky friendship, the lessons we've learnt, and the path we've taken since we last spoke. Who knows, maybe this will be the start of a new chapter. I mean, not just for us, Shinata Beta and I, but for all of you who are listening and watching this. Now, I know this is not going to be easy for me, but I believe it's necessary for me to do this. And I hope all of you can take away something valuable from our conversation tonight, because sometimes it's never too late to mend fences, to seek understanding, and to embrace the complexities of human relationships. So without further ado, let's get crack on with myself versus Shinata Beta, fully uncensored, head to head, and of course, putting our historic rivalry to a complete end. For the biggest and most explosive reunion of 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 6 long years, I introduce to you Shinata Beta.
Hello, everybody. It is I, Shinata Beta here. And to anyone who doesn't know me, hello, I am Shinata Beta. I am an animatic YouTuber, and I just like to make silly videos on the side. But in other words, I am just a hobbyist on YouTube. But hello there, everybody. Hello, everyone, one and all, big, small, gay, in between. Hello there.
So mate, how are you, mate? How are you, mate?
Essentially, today I am A-okay. Good as usual, just things have been busy now. Essentially,
Good.
in regards to my private life, I won't get too much into it, but let's just say it has been busy in a good way, but it's just become very busy, as well as just in terms of my artwork and everything. But aside from that, I am A-okay and just the same as usual.
Good. I mean, I'm doing good myself, you know what I mean? And I actually can't believe this. Really, I actually can't believe this. 6 years. 6 years. 6 long years we've last spoken to each other. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's a big moment for us, you know?
It certainly is, if you think about it that way.
Yeah, so yeah, before we came on the show, just want to address that for privacy reasons, it has been agreed that we're going to have to cover up her webcam and replace it with her character of her choice, and the character she's given me to replace her webcam was Shona Luna.
Shauna Lunar. Sorry, apologies. Is my character Shauna Lunar? But yes, it's just to respect my privacy and to make sure that it is safe and secure and kept away from all of you. I would much rather let you guys know me by my characters and my voice more than my face.
Yeah. So okay. So why do I think now is the time for me to finally speak to you after 6 long years. Why do I think now is the time to do this? So, I don't know, man. I kind of feel like the beef between you and me, or at least my hatred towards you, is kind of, I guess, somewhat done. You know, and like 6 years have gone past, and yeah, it's a really interesting time for us both. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I
And
feel
to
like
be fair, yes, no, sorry. Yeah, and to be fair, I was actually just about to say the same thing. But anyway, you proceed and then I'll answer in a second.
so yeah, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it is a good time to, I guess, talk. I mean, like I said, it's been 6 years since you and I have interacted with each other, and ever since we went on our separate ways, we've done a lot of things on our own. I've been trying to resurrect my YouTube career. I've been doing Broadway plays and all the other stuff I've been doing lately. And since our YouTube channels have received a milestone of existing for 10 years, which was last year,
Well,
yeah,
I guess we could say for all of you who is listening, it's now 11 years, but essentially still the same milestone.
yeah. So yeah, because of that, I thought, it makes sense to finally speak to each other after 6 long years. And I'm pretty sure you're thinking that as well, because after 6 long years of doing things in our own separate paths, whatever, with like a few YouTubers recently reuniting and reconciling with their enemies, like Logan Paul and KSI. Do you know these two YouTubers, Logan Paul and KSI?
Yes, I am well aware of them and the infamy that went with their fight and everything. It's not something that I am into, but I am well aware of what happened with the two of them.
Yeah, so they were enemies for years or whatever, and then in 2022, they became enemies. Oh, no, they became friends. Sorry, or should I say, business partners to form a beverage company called Prime Hydration. Have you tried one of those before I continue saying what I want to say? Have you ever tried Prime Hydration before?
No, I just stick to the usual that I always drink, but I have never tried that before.
Okay, so yeah, so as I was saying, yeah, with YouTubers like reuniting and reconciling with their enemies and all that, we're the only ones so far that never actually truly gone, you know what, let's just sit down, man to man, or in this case, man to woman, and all that, and just have a chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
I know
think
what you mean.
I think both of us have grown a lot since our rivalry and the breakup, and we've learned a lot, and we are probably different people now, you know. And
We are most certainly different people. In fact, I will essentially say this. I'm probably going to be taking hold of this, but essentially what you're saying is true. But what I will say is just this. So I will say
okay,
this real quick that honestly, this wasn't a rivalry between us. There never was one because I would have had to be jealous of the work that you made or did on YouTube or any other places like that. And there never was. Trust me, if there was, it would be so obvious. Yes, the stuff you make is completely different compared to mine. I might not click with it, but like I can still see the dedication that was there and I can see that's what you like. But there was no rivalry in terms of that. However, the main thing to take from all of this is that we were both young and naive, and we just did things that might have not been the best things to do.
Hmm.
In other words, really act responsibly, and that can happen because young people will sometimes act responsibly, but not all the time, and they will make mistakes. Obviously,
yeah. So
not all kids or young. Sorry, yeah.
yeah. So what was I going to say? Yeah. Um, so yeah. So I think throughout this conversation, we're going to probably learn more about each other, and yeah, like clear the air, bury the hatchet, call a truce, let bygones be bygones, or whatever the correct phrase is that people say nowadays, or whatever the
Well,
correct phrase is.
I think essentially the bygones have already been bygones because we've both made essentially, yeah, it's just bygones being bygones because we have both made mistakes, but we have both
That's
grown
true.
from them and learned from them, and we've now become more independent and mature and more in terms of how to act and behave properly in terms of things like this. Yes, this
Yeah,
whole rivalry, I am going to put it in quotations because once again, there was no rivalry. This rivalry and this breakup, yes, I'm sure for other people's and maybe for some aspects it did sting, but honestly, I think it was best for both of us because now we have moved on in our own directions. We're doing our own things. We're now older and we can now handle things in a more dignified manner rather than just going off the handle, which was, by the way, not what happened, but essentially just that. We're now adults. We can now act how we should act and behave more appropriately.
indeed. Indeed. So we are basically are talking like grown adults right now
Grown
because we're no
adults, but
longer
we can still grown adults, but who essentially still have some things that tie in with us, like shows, animation, stuff like that. But yes, still adults.
Yeah, indeed, because we're no longer teenagers or youngsters because we are grown adults. So yeah, we're gonna
Nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with being a grown adult.
yeah, I mean, yeah, because yeah, bury the hatchet and all that because there's a lot of stuff that had happened back then between us two that I think, yeah, both of us probably took like had sort of like wrong views about each other and everything. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it'll be good for to sort of chat about some of those things, unless you want to get to the
Well,
point.
kind of. I more or less have just shoved them into the past now because like they're no longer important. Like, because I've already learned from them, so I'm like, okay, I'm never going to make them again. So that's why I just don't bring them up anymore because I've learned from them, and they're just way in the past. They're not important. Just keep them away and everything. So yeah.
Sick. So okay, so right, the first thing that started this rivalry off back in 2016, I think it was April or May, I can't remember, or was it January? I can't remember, but the first thing that
Okay,
started
so
this.
before we begin, we can quickly bring up a few things, but like I said, I try probably just might not want to talk too much about this because like I said, it's in the past and we've already like fixed our mistakes and everything. If you do want to bring it up, not a problem, but I just will say that I probably might not just talk about it too much because I've already learned I don't want to think about it anymore and I'm just moving on essentially.
Fair
Just so
enough.
you know.
That's I respect that. So yeah, like the first thing that started this rivalry off was like over a simple fucking name change that you did. Of course, there's going to be swearing because this podcast is uncensored and everything else. We could say whatever we want. It's freedom of speech, obviously.
To anybody who is listening, we do apologize if you do hear the swearing and apologies for that. Just note that it will be there, but everything will be a-okay. If you're not comfortable with the swearing, that is not a problem, but we do apologize if you do hear a fair amount.
yeah. So the one thing that started this off was over a name change that you did, believe it or not, where you changed your YouTube name from I can't ever forget this name, Sonic Fan 1345 to who you are now, Shinota Beta.
Yeah.
So my first question to you is, I know this might freshen the minds of your fans who may be listening to this, and of course my fans as well, but my first question to you is, why? Why did you change your name from Sonic Fan 1345 to Shinata Beta?
Honestly, the very simple reason was just because Sonic Fan 1345 was slowly just becoming a little bit more boring. It was becoming a bit generic. And as I kept making content, it kept expanding. I was making stuff on completely different things like My Hero Academia, My Little Pony, anime. It was no longer Sonic stuff. So eventually I was like, you know what? Nah, Sonic Fan 1345 doesn't fit anymore because I'm not doing Sonic stuff anymore. And plus, like, it just sounded very generic and boring. And it just, something about it just didn't click with me anymore. So I changed it to Shinata Beta, which was perfect because Shinata Beta doesn't fit anything, but it perfectly describes everything that I have. It's just it's just perfect. And for me, it's a better name for the channel in general. It has more of a vibrant zing. It's more interesting. It's more fun. It's fun to say. And plus, like, it's easier for people to like remember it. And plus, to hear people say it just honestly sounds like a lot of fun. I've heard it, and it's honestly a beautiful surprise. And plus, like, to anybody who has names like Sonic Fan 135 or Pebble Pony or whatever you want to go with, nothing wrong with those names. Just for me, I thought maybe let's change it to something that's a little bit more interesting and fun, and go with something that ties in with the fact that the channel is no longer about one thing. It's about anything. So yeah.
Do you have any plans to add to your current name further? Like you're gonna add in the name, oh, Shinata Beta Illustrations or Shinata Beta Productions or something like that. Do you have any plans to add to your current name?
No, I'm keeping it the way that it is on YouTube. Shinata Beta Illustrations is just for Instagram, but Shinata Beta is staying exactly the way it is. However, if I do feel like doing that in the future, then that will be up to me to decide. But honestly, for now, I am perfectly okay with it the way that it is, and I honestly love the way that it is. I like Shinata Beta. Everybody likes Shinata Beta, and I'm happy for it. So no changes are going to be made in the future unless I feel like it.
That's okay. I respect that. So do you prefer your old name, or are you happy with the name that you have?
Honestly, I'm happy with the name that I have. I'm still glad that I went with the old name before then, because I was just trying to go with something that tied in with me. But honestly, I genuinely am way more happy with the new name because it's more fitting in general. And plus, like, it's just more fun sounding, and it's making me sound more like not only a YouTuber, but just an artist and what you see other people have in terms of names. It's just zany, it's quirky, it's unusual, and it's perfect. So yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that one. So yeah, we're going to talk about the things that happened since our breakup back in September 3rd, 2018, where we did our own separate things. So during these things, when you moved on your thing, when we both like separated and stuff, how has your life been like, even with all the stuff that has happened since our rivalry and after we've broken up? How has your life been like?
Honestly, it's been busy with artwork and stuff like that, and just things that are mostly tying into my private life, which I will not address here because I want to keep that secret and secure and just away from here and
I
respect
respect
my
that.
family members' privacy and everything. But it's just been busy in both good ways and bad ways, but honestly, mostly very good. And that's just mostly in terms of just artwork, just making things, going along with YouTube and everything and stuff like that. And just, yeah, a lot of things have been happening in my life that have made me super busy, but they have been fun. But also, I am doing good in terms of my life because I get to now do things that I like doing. Like if I'm drawing and everything, now I can just unwind. I can just go for walks, take in fresh air, just
Well, that's good.
chill and everything, play video games. And honestly, like I'm feeling good. And if ever I have a bad day, and everyone feels sick, we're not the only ones, everyone has a bad day, then like just I'll draw, I'll play video games, I'll go out, heck, chat to a friend or hold a plushie, do anything. And it really helps. So honestly, whilst my life has been chaotic every now and again, it's still been interesting. It has been busy. There have been some times where maybe, yeah, it's been a bit stressful, but I have never have once had a mega bad day. Just life has just been eventful, is the best way to put it. Eventful but fun.
Okay, and then if you ask me, my life after you and I broken up, it's been, dare I say, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride for me. You know, uh, I've been doing well. Like I said, I've been trying to resurrect my YouTube career, which we'll talk about that about that later. I've been doing some Broadway plays. You know, I've done like two Broadway plays. The first one I ever done was back in, well, a month or two, from 2018 to 2019, was a Broadway play or musical I did called Oklahoma. Do you know Oklahoma? Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, Oklahoma.
I think I know Oklahoma. I think I'm aware of it.
Yeah, so yeah, that was my first Broadway play I've ever done. Before that I've done school plays and all these things when I was a young kid, and now I've got to do musicals or Broadway plays, whatever. And the first one was back in 2018 to 2019 with Oklahoma. We rehearsed it in 2018, and we did the show in front of a live audience in around March of 2019. So yeah, so I played a character. It was a bit of it was my first day in the job. I played a minor character, which I don't think was ever seen in the original Oklahoma movie or whatever. His character is named Bob, right? He's one of the members of some gang or whatever. I only like a few lines or anything for each scene, so but at the end of the day, it was actually a pretty good thing. Really, it was actually really good. Actually, we did a massive job with that.
And there you go. That's all that matters. As long as you enjoyed it, that is absolutely all that matters. And from the sound of it, it sounds like it was an absolute blast. So,
and the second one, which I did, was called 9 to 5. It's by the same guys I work with. I did a second one called 9 to 5, the musical.
yeah, of course, named after that Dolly Parton song, because why not?
Yeah, I mean, we started rehearsing this in 2020. No, not 2020, but 2019, I meant. We started rehearsing this in 2019, and then it was supposed to do it live in 2020, but unfortunately, in March of 2020. But unfortunately, COVID came along, and that shut everything down, which we'll talk about your life with COVID a little bit later. So everything was shut down because of COVID, and it didn't take us until 2022 we realized when we going, you know what, let's start this project up. We launched 9 to 5, and we actually rehearsed 9 to 5 much more better than we did in 2019 and 2020. All right, because in 2023 in March we put on a hell of a great show. We put on a hell of a great few nights in front of a live audience, and the crowd went wild. And it is so incomprehensible. Like the feeling I received from doing this is very incomprehensible. Like I can't describe it. It was amazing, right? These amazing nights were incredible.
Just about the sound of it must have been incredible.
Yeah, in case you're wondering what character did I play in 9 to 5, I played as good old Mr. Tinsworthy.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Mr. Tinsworthy, the guy with the Colonel Sanders lookalike. And boy, did I did a great job at putting a Southern accent, a Southern American accent that he represents. Well, Hart, I must say that you did a very fantastic job. That Southern accent. So
I can absolutely see that, and I can see why that probably stole the show and everything. I could totally hear that. So yeah.
Not just me, but everybody else, right? Because we had an excellent
to everyone else who was also doing it. Well done. Because
we had an excellent crew, we had an amazing cast, and throughout my time with the Broadway musical group, I actually made some great friends there. And since then, I've been treated like family. I realized this is where I belong. That is where I truthfully belong. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, and I'm hoping to do a third one this year. I don't know when, as a time of filming this podcast, but I don't know when I'll be starting rehearsing the third one. We don't know yet, because early this year we did the Broadway play's first ever children's play back in February or whatever, called The Wizard of Oz. But the new version of Wizard of Oz, which I have an involvement in it. I'm not like one of the actors. I'm not like a kid, because where do you see me interacting with kids on that sort of thing? No, I was involved. I was the guy behind the lights. You know, I was behind.
Yeah, you were just helping with the stage and everything. You were essentially just like assisting with that aspect.
Yeah, I was helping out with the lights. You know, like in
Yeah.
each scene, I had to change lighting and all that stuff. Which, mind you, I'm glad why they gave me that job, because the director for the play, for the Wizard of Oz play in the Broadway musical, had a very keen eye on me because I have very good fascination with lights, and that's true because which I'll talk about. Well, I'm going sidetrack for a little, but when I returned, okay, we'll talk about that later. So yeah, he had a keen eye that I'm a big fascination of lights, and thought, oh, why not have him? Why not have Ryan be a part of the lights? And I did a
We're
good job.
fascinated by you being the Mothman.
Yeah. So yeah, but outside of all this stuff, yeah, like I said, it's been a roller coaster ride for me. I've been every summer I've been going on camping trips every time, and most of the time it goes wrong. It goes wrong most of the time in terms of car
That's what you
troubles.
expect with camping and everything. And to be fair, like you don't know what's going to happen in a day. It's unpredictable. You can't really control it. So like it makes sense that camping doesn't always go right, but like camping is supposed to be fun regardless of what goes wrong or not.
Okay. The reason why we're doing camping, because my dad, if I'm allowed to mention him, my dad is a big interest in fishing, and
Mm.
and unfortunately for me, I'm not really a big fan of fishing. I don't like fishing. You know, I'm not really interested in that sort of shit. You know, because I'm more interested in wrestling and WWE, or
But
I'm
just skip.
interested in what I do.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But there's nothing wrong with giving it a try and everything. Yeah, there's some stuff that I don't like, but I always just give it a try, and it's always fun to try it. And like, if you still don't like it, then you tried it out anyways, and you could find certain aspects interesting. You could find certain aspects fascinating. But that doesn't mean you always have to like it. So there's nothing wrong with just being like, hey, can I try it out a little bit and everything? Because you never know what the result could be. You
Uh,
don't like it. There's nothing wrong with just being like, let me try something new.
that's true, I guess. So yeah, that's how my life has been like since we broken up. So now let's talk about my struggles with YouTube, right? During COVID, right? I mean, let me ask you first, how's your life been during the times of COVID, right? When we're in the COVID lockdown, and and um so how's your life been during the times of COVID?
Yeah, the lockdown wasn't fun. I know for everyone it wasn't fun at all. It wasn't fun at all for me. But I think the main thing that got me through has just been the main thing for everything, which is just drawing and just like interacting with people on DeviantArt, just making drawings and animatics. So like even though COVID was a nightmare and the lockdown wasn't fun, I still made animatics. I persevered through. I just drew away and I still just kept my hope up, even if it didn't seem like it all the time, that it would go away. And it has gone away, which is great. But like that's what I did. And I I have been affected by COVID. I have gotten it twice and it wasn't fun. Absolutely not. But what I will say is just I didn't panic too much because once I got them, I was just like, I'm going to take it easy. I will take care of myself. I will make sure that I am a-okay and all better. I will not push myself. If I am not feeling right, I will take it easy. I know what to do. I know me and everything. But I still powered through. Heck, one of the animatics I have up on YouTube was actually made whilst I had COVID. So whilst I was taking it easy, I still powered through to make that animatic. Why? Because it gave me something to do. And I loved seeing people's reaction to it when it was done. And so, yeah, so the lockdown wasn't fun, but I had things that I could do anyways that just helped me through it. And honestly, yeah, I'm glad I had those things. If I didn't, it'd be a bit tougher, but I had them. And so I was able to just power through it. And now here we
Hmm,
are. I'm still doing the exact same thing like I did with the lockdown. But
hmm.
yeah, here we are.
And you're lucky because I never got COVID at all. You know, even after I've gotten vaccinated in May and June of 2021, I've been double vaxxed and all that. So you're lucky. I'm lucky because I never got COVID. even after vaccination, because I remember like in 2022, my mum and dad were tested positive with COVID, where I was tested negative, like many times, and people can maybe concerned about me saying, "Well, Ryan I could be asymptomatic." They got
Oh
COVID.
yeah,
I could be asymptomatic. Hence why I've
yeah.
been tested negative so many times.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, just some people don't catch it and you haven't caught it, and that's a good thing. I'm not trying to jinx it or anything, but if you ever do get it in the future, one, just don't worry. Two, if it does happen, it's gonna happen. You can't control when you're going to get unwell, and this includes, COVID, or as some people will now call it, the Karen cough. But anyway, if you
The
do get
Karen
it, just
cough.
yeah, just I will say, just if you do indeed get it in the future, once again, I am not trying to jinx you by saying you're going to get it. But if you do get it, just know that it will be fine. Don't push yourself too much. Take it easy. If you know what is wrong with you, then just do what you can, and then just do whatever you do that makes you happy, and that will get you through it. And then it'll be gone before you know it. And this is coming from experience from someone who has had it. But like I said, I'm not trying to jinx it, but if it does ever happen in the future, just note that.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Well said. So let's talk about my life with COVID lockdown. I've got to say, my life within the COVID lockdown was absolutely dreadful. Throughout these months of COVID, the lockdown, I started growing like a long beard and also growing long hair. Believe it or not, yeah, I'll put a screenshot there. You see it right there. It's because I have
Yeah.
long hairs and I have a long hair and a long beard. I call it the lockdown challenge, where you don't shave or don't have a haircut throughout the pandemic until you're free. You know,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was dreadful. But in terms of my YouTube content, um, it's becoming like less and less relevant, and like every time I try and make a video, all right, that's what I was having trouble with YouTube, probably back then, and probably before that as well, because every time I try and make a YouTube video, fuck me, were they cringy. You know what I mean? Immediate, it's just well cringe. It's just so well cringe. And I think the one I did in 2020 that I know was cringy was, I think it was the stories from the asylum bit. That was well cringy. Man, it's just well cringe. You know that?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I mean, I just want. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to put you in my shoes, right? And
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
how can I improve, or what do you think, or where do you think I went wrong with my YouTube career?
Okay. Well, coming from someone who doesn't really see it as a career, I just see YouTube as a fun little hobby to entertain people. That's just how I see it personally. But secondly, I will say everybody's content is cringe. I every single YouTuber who has ever made a video has that one or two videos that they just cringe at. Everybody makes cringe. Not one person doesn't make cringe. We all make cringe. I make cringe. It's just normal. That's the first thing. It is normal to make cringe, but there is nothing wrong with that. That's all I will say. But in terms of improving, just I guess like well, like I said, like some of my stuff is cringy, but I am still happy to look at it. Why? Because I see that the work that I did, and I'm like, I did that. Look at the amount of work that I did. Essentially, I guess the best way is just experiment. Just if you still enjoy making the videos, make
Hmm.
them. Just make them. Have fun. Do whatever you want to make. And then just check out how they're doing, just in terms of reception, how people are feeling about them and everything. And if they really like one, then perfect. That's your jumping off point. But what I will say is like, there is nothing wrong with making videos that maybe don't do so good, because it is fun. It is good to have that variety. It is good to have a video that does super well, and then just have some that are like still good, mid, but still absolutely good, and then another banger. It is always good to do that. You don't want to run your thing dry, essentially. But essentially, just like I say, experiment. If you still love making those videos, regardless if they're cringy or not, just experiment. And if something works, then just play around with it. And then if you just still want to make anything in general, regardless if they're cringy or not, or how they're perceived, just do it. But of course, like, keep in mind just to be like aware that maybe certain ones maybe won't work because of maybe something you say, or maybe you could say something that's a bit awkward, or you could say something that could be taken completely out of context. That's just the other main thing. You don't want something to be taken wrong way, or for something to just go completely off the rails. Like, just experiment is the best way. Like, everybody is trying to improve. Heck, I probably say if you look at the videos that you did, you were technically improving, but you just didn't know it. The main thing is just to experiment. That's the main thing. The main thing. I guess the main answer is just experiment and have fun. Just do what you want to do, but just experiment. And once again, everybody makes cringe content. Not one person doesn't make cringe content. We all make cringe content. If you're a YouTuber, if you're an artist, if you're a writer, anything like that, we've all made cringe. It is completely normal. We will all like feel it and stumble upon it. It is so, so natural.
Yeah. Thanks for the advice. I appreciate that. But I didn't follow that throughout 2020. And it got to the point in 2021 on February 21st where I decided to announce my retirement because my mental health, which we'll talk about that later, hopefully, was getting so much worse. You know what I mean? It got so much worse to the point where I had to announce my retirement. You know that YouTube video where I actually legit cried on camera. You know, I wasn't acting it out. I legit cried. I mean,
yep, I remember that video.
It was exactly that because throughout 2020, I've lost all inspiration to keep on going because this COVID lockdown has really like given me anxiety and all that. So it's exactly that. That's exactly how I felt, you know? So I've got to ask you, how did you feel when you first saw that video I posted back in February?
Honestly, just the best way I can put it is just that I could tell that the pandemic had taken a toll on you. It took a toll on everyone, to be fair. But the main thing was that even though you didn't want to go into retirement and it kind of hurt to do so, you wanted to do something in terms of your mental health to make yourself feel better and to basically try and improve yourself. And that was all that was important. You wanted to do something to feel better emotionally and physically, and you just wanted to get away from something that could have potentially caused more stress to occur. So yeah, so essentially just I was completely cool with the fact that you knew what you wanted to do. That was the decision you wanted to make. It might have been a little bit like painful to go with that decision, but you wanted to do that for yourself. That was the decision that you wanted to make. That's what you were happy to go with, and that's all that mattered to me. And essentially everyone, that you wanted to do what you wanted to do best for yourself and to make things for you easier and not make it as difficult.
Okay, I totally I'm totally glad that you finally respected mental health, which we'll talk about that later on in this conversation. But let's get to the happy stuff, right? Let's get to the happy stuff first. So let's talk about our hobbies, right? Let's talk about our little hobbies. So if I remember correctly, when we first met, which I believe was back in 2013, I think we first met, or was it longer than that?
Either way, it was a good while ago.
Yeah. So when we first met in secondary school in 2013, I remembered you going gaga or talking gaga or whatever about a certain video game character by the name of Sonic the Hedgehog. Right?
That's
Sonic
right,
the Hedgehog.
everyone. I was obsessed with the legendary Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes. Anyway, yes, I was pretty Well, I guess the best way to say it is obsessed with him. Now, when I mean by toxic obsession, I just essentially mean that all I ever talked about, brought up, and just thought of was just Sonic related stuff. But yes, I was a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, can you? Yeah, can I was about to ask. Can you remember one of your memories of when you first got attracted to Sonic the Hedgehog?
In terms of the series slash franchise in general, it was just because of Sonic X. I believe one of the episodes came on, or maybe it was the intro, but something about seeing this bright blue, darkish blue hedgehog just running about the place, and just the music, just something about the visuals of Sonic X really got my attention. And I think the intro too, like the theme song for Sonic X, which I'm sure everyone aware is because of all the memes of "gotta go fast" and everything. But like, yeah, just the intro and just Sonic X in general was what first introduced me into Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's when the obsession, you could say, began. But if you mean in terms of the character, it was by all thanks to that boat episode, because they knew exactly what they were doing with that boat episode. They were like, oh no, let's put this 16-year-old boy with a flirtatious look on a boat. I'm sure that'll be great. Damn, I can't believe he was my first crush, but we're not going to talk about that. But no, if you mean in general, it was thanks to the anime Sonic X. If you mean in terms of him, please don't question why he was on a boat. He was on a boat. If anybody else has watched Sonic X, you know perfectly well what episode I'm on about.
Yeah, I do remember back when we were friends before we became rivalries in 2016. I remembered
Once
in
again,
2014.
not really rivals, essentially. Just rivals in quotations, because once
Okay,
again, there wasn't really any rivalry.
okay. I mean, can you? I mean, when back when we were friends, I used to like annoy the fuck out of you with a certain Sonic the Hedgehog character by the name of Rouge the Bat. Yeah, do you remember that? I used to annoy the fuck
I
out of you.
wouldn't necessarily, sorry, apologies. I wouldn't necessarily say annoy, just like, I was just aware of Rouge, and I just never really liked Rouge. I just didn't.
That's all right. Okay, so yeah, I used to annoy the hell out of you with Rouge the Bat, and
Well,
I mean, do you have
essentially,
any other?
I rewatched Sonic X, like, I think like a few months ago, and what I will say is I can absolutely see why Rouge has fans. Her personality is fun. She's sassy. She's like really entertaining. Her voice actress is doing a great job, having a lot of fun with it. I absolutely do not blame them. It's just that for me, just Rouge isn't just, with Rouge, just nah. I think it's just simply because they're trying hard to make her like the hottest thing on the planet. And for me and my logical brain, it's like, why are you trying to make a bat hot? I'm not attracted to a bat. Stop trying to make her look like Jessica Rabbit. I'm not falling for Jessica Rabbit bat. Get out. Not harshly, everybody. I'm just saying in terms of a joke.
I can't believe you brought up Jessica Rabbit. Why did you bring up
And
Jessica?
in case anybody is wondering, I felt the exact same way about Jessica. I absolutely don't mind Jessica. I didn't mind Jessica when I was just, even I knew just, nah, there was just something about Jessica I didn't like. And it's the same thing with Rouge. I think just, I don't mind flirty characters, but I don't like flirty characters that are way too like on the nose flirty in a very naughty way. I think that's what irks me, I think. And that's why I just didn't like Rouge. I respect Rouge now. I appreciate Rouge. I'm still not big into Rouge. But if there are any Rouge fans out there, just know I completely see why you guys love Rouge. I do not blame you.
Yeah, so outside from being a Sonic fan, I also read into somewhere that not only you're well, you used to be a Sonic fan now. Are you still a Sonic fan to this day, or are you just dialing it down?
No, essentially, I am still a Sonic fan. I'm just very, very chill about it. I'm just not as obsessed anymore. I will still play his games. I rewatched Sonic X just to relive childhood, and I go and see the movies. Like I'll if there's anything Sonic related, I'll absolutely play it and look at it and everything. But I'm just not as obsessive anymore. I'm very laid back about Sonic. I still like Sonic. I still love anything Sonic related. I'm just very mellowed out now when it comes to Sonic. I'm not as obsessed anymore about Sonic. And I think that's thanks to My Little Pony and anime and all that kind of stuff. So when I say I'm no longer a Sonic fan, essentially I am a Sonic fan. I'm just a very chill Sonic fan. That's the best way to put it.
Okay. All right. So aside from that, you're also a big fan of anime, which is Japanese
Yes,
animation.
I am a big fan of anime, yes.
Yeah. So I want to ask, can you remember what was the very first anime that you've ever watched as a kid, other than Sonic X or whatever that?
Well, technically, Sonic X was kind of my first anime, but alongside Sonic X, it was the original Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh GX, the first two seasons of Digimon, and then I believe Mew Mew Power / Tokyo Mew Mew. But that came a little bit later on. But essentially, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon and Pokemon, they were the other ones that introduced me into anime and everything. But Sonic X was like the first one that hooked me. But the other ones were also my first introductions into anime. And then Mew Mew Power / Tokyo Mew Mew was my first ever introduction into magical girls. Even though I used to watch a lot of Sailor Moon clips, but I did not like Sailor Moon back then. I hated Sailor Moon. I appreciate Sailor Moon. I can absolutely see why Sailor Moon is loved. I completely respect that. It's still not my thing. But boy, is it fun just to watch it with friends and see their minds break over the other insanity that is in Sailor Moon. If any of you guys listening to this have watched Sailor Moon, you know perfectly well what I mean. Sailor Moon is bonkers.
Well, that's really interesting. So, knowing that you are an anime fan, I've got to ask you this: what does being an anime fan mean to you? For those who are not anime fans, what does it mean? What does being an anime fan mean to you?
Honestly, I don't know how to perfectly put it, but anime just essentially means everything to me. Anime can be cute, it can be emotional, it could be crazy, it could be weird, it could be dark, it could be anything. Anime is so wide in its variety of tones and moods, and it's just fun. It's so experimental. It's always visually interesting, and it's always gotten my attention. And from me loving anime so much, no matter what it is, from Welcome to Demon School, Ira Makun, to the Precure series, to anything in general, I've got to meet like amazing friends that I know IRL, which I will not name. But I also
Okay.
got to meet other artists who love the same anime. I get to go to conventions and I get to meet other people who love the same anime. I also get to meet so many other people that are so dorky, quirky, and weird. And it's just great because I get to meet other people that love the same thing and just get to be themselves. Essentially, it's really tricky to describe what being an anime fan is, but much like how animation has like a strong hold on me because I just love animation in general, anime is the exact same thing. Essentially, it's just held a special place in my heart just for the reason that it's the same love for animation, because it's just always grabbed my attention more than anything else.
Now you just mentioned to me that you went to conventions,
Yes.
which everyone should know is Comic-Con, really.
Mhm.
And that was great. That's great of you to hear, and I'm happy for you that you went to your very first. Well, I wouldn't say your very first Comic-Con thing, because you've probably been there more times after we broken up. So I got to ask,
Yes,
what was
I've been going there. I've been here for the past few years now. I wouldn't call myself a veteran, but I'm very used to Comic-Con.
So, what was it like heading your first Comic-Con? What can you remember the costume? And I know there's loads of people who attend Comic-Con dress up in various heroes and villains and all that. Can you remember the list of characters that you dressed up for the past number of years in Comic-Con?
So, for my very first one, I went as Futaba Sakura from Persona 5 because she is my spirit animal. That's the first thing. But essentially, the characters that I dressed up as were Futaba Sakura, Inosuke from Demon Slayer, Clara Valak from Welcome to Demon School, Ira Makun. I was also Blake Belladonna, Yang Xiaolong, but dressed up as Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. So I'm going to either call it Tang or Yifa. Maybe Tang might be better. And then I went as Cure Chocolat as well. So I went as a good few characters and everything. And if I ever decide to go in the future, there are a bunch more I definitely want to do. But for now, those are the characters that I have gone as.
Interesting. Really interesting. And the funny thing is, right, I actually was trying to go to Comic-Con myself because one of the voice actors, Nolan North, at the time was there, which of course, you know, Nolan North was played by Nathan Drake from the Uncharted game series, right? I've always wanted to go to Comic-Con, but around the time I was working on the 9 to 5 play, you know, but so I didn't like go there or anything like that because I was so focused on the 9 to 5 play and all that. So, but yeah, there's still time. And if you're now that we're nearly on good terms so far, I bet you can invite me one day. Invite me there one day.
I honestly just have to see, but like it is completely up to you. Like there's nothing wrong with going solo as well. Like you don't always have to go with a group. If you feel like you want to go up there like yourself and go in and walk around, you can absolutely do that. There is nothing wrong with that. Like I essentially just go with some friends that I know that are experienced and everything. But like it's completely up to you. It doesn't always have to be up to me. If you feel like you want to go, regardless if I feel like going or not, then just go for it. It's completely up to you. If you feel like going to a convention, go to a convention. It's all up to you. You know what to do. You know what makes you happy. If you want to do that, go for it.
Okay. So now you and I both know, right? For those who don't know this, we're actually huge fans of a Japanese anime or whatever it is. I don't know if it's a southern Japanese anime, wherever it is. It's called RWBY.
It's an anime inspired web series, essentially, which then eventually got some anime, but it's an anime inspired web series.
Yeah, what we're talking about is called Ruby, or as it's spelled RW. Yeah, it was spelled RWBY, right? And I want to talk about you because I think that you were a fan of Ruby before I was. So I've got to ask you is,
yes, I wouldn't necessarily say a fan, but I was introduced to Ruby before you.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, can you remember exactly when you first became a fan of Ruby?
I first became a fan thanks to a friend of mine who I will not name, but thanks to a friend of mine, they introduced me to the soundtrack when I was hanging around at their place. They played the soundtrack for me, and some of the songs immediately got my attention. I had already stumbled upon some clips of Ruby anyways, but thanks to them introducing me to the soundtrack and then telling me about the characters, I then essentially started watching like people reacting to Ruby, and then I saw the episodes myself. I would see compilations, and that slowly got me into Ruby. But I think what really got me into Ruby then was the final episode of Volume 3, from seeing people's reactions and the fact that I kept watching it over and over again. I was like, you know what? I think there's something that's grabbing me. And then just from that point onwards, I just really enjoyed Ruby. But I also just really enjoyed Ruby because thanks to the clips the compilations I used to watch were of Blake and Yang, and if you guys don't know, that is a girl, and the ships usually have unusual names. So like Nuts and Dolts is Ruby and Penny, Black Sun is Blake and Sun. Apologies, but Yang and Blake were in a lot of the compilations I used to watch. And if you guys don't know, they are black and yellow, so they are known as Bumblebee. Not spelled in the way that you think, guys, but they are Bumblebee, essentially. But there were a lot of Bumblebee compilations, and I really liked them. And they also got me really interested. So when the finale came around, where they had the big emotional moment of Yang, spoilers, everybody, even though it has been quite a long time, but Yang losing her arm, and then Blake running away, and then bounces immediately into volume 4, where they're kind of like missing each other, but they're going through their whole I'm so edgy, I don't need her face and everything. But you know what I mean. But essentially, thanks to seeing those as well, I really began to like Ruby. But thanks to Bumblebee as well, I discovered more, that I was like really interested in stories where, granted, romance can bloom, but romance can bloom between like two people of the exact same gender, and it can be just as beautiful, because I thought Blake and Yang just looked adorable together. And just I can't blame myself. Just I liked Blake and Yang. I just loved Bumblebee. But to be fair, I liked all the characters in there anyway, regardless if they became a couple or not. But that's essentially how I kind of became a fan of Ruby. Not an obsessive fan, still a very chill fan, but someone who really enjoys Ruby.
Okay. Now, I know in 2016, I think it was during secondary school, I think it was November of 2016, you showed me on someone's phone, or your phone, or whoever, of
I believe it might have
something.
been my phone, but yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, you showed me something from Ruby during the break in secondary school. I think it was a trailer to a Ruby. I think it was one of the character trailers, I think it was. I think it was
either it was when I showed Adam slicing off Yang's arm, and then Blake coming to defend her. I do remember that. That might have been different, but it might have been either Yang's trailer or Blake's trailer.
That one.
It was definitely one of the girls' trailers.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. I think, yeah, that was what you showed me, and I was like, when I saw that trailer, I was like, well, she looks pretty gorgeous. She does have a gorgeous looking bird. I might check that out.
Everybody fell in love with Yang, but then again, first volume, they knew what they were doing with Yang. So everybody was just drawn to Yang.
Yeah, and I was very intrigued by what I saw of Ruby, and I thought, oh, I'll just check out some more on YouTube and stuff like that. And it wasn't until 2017 I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm a big fan of Ruby because I love what's going on there. I love all the characters in there, and I watch most of the episodes most of the time when I'm not busy or when I'm feeling down or whatever. So yeah. That's how I became a fan of Ruby, and still am to this very day, mind you, because I remember in 2018 when it comes now they're talked about WWE 2K games, right? In 2018, I did a pack, or as hardcore gamers call it, a community creations pack. In 2K18 was called the Ruby pack
with the Ruby characters, and I remember you put in Blake and Yang.
Yeah, and I remembered you were so flustered over one of your OCs, which original characters is what it means. One of your OCs in this.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say flustered. I had a very strong inkling that you were going to put her in. If you guys don't know, it's my original Ruby character named Lumina Belladonna.
Yes,
I don't know if I'm going to give her that name, but I wasn't flustered. I was just like, I knew he was going to add her because it made too much sense. You put in Blake, you put in Yang. You were really obsessed with Lumina, and I was like, I have a feeling the mystery character is Lumina, because you can't stop admiring her. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. Thank you for telling the whole truth about me there. I was a big fan of one of your OCs. right, for since 2017 or whatever. Thank you. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that from you. So yeah, I mean, during the times together, whether it be friendship or rivalries, one of the most things we did that you and I did was Just Dance. Right?
Yes.
Funny thing,
Just
not,
Dance,
people
yes.
people not know this, right? In real life, we actually did Just Dance together. And
Yeah, well, we did Just Dance, but we also did a bit of Dance Central. In fact, Dance Central was when we started jumping off onto Just Dance, essentially. But yes.
yeah, and honestly, for those that don't know, yeah, we did that, and we actually had a good time. Yeah, we we used to fuck around with each other. We used to laugh and chat all the times and all that stuff. We used to fuck around all the times. So yeah, it's a really good time. And it wasn't until August of 2018 we did a live or whatever the hell it's called. I can't remember what it is. I think some sort of autism play thingamajig thing for autism.
We
Where
essentially just did we did a live performance in front of our friends and families where we just performed various acts and everything. And then our last one was a big dance one, which was based off of the Gimme 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 one from
yes,
one of
that's
the
the one.
years that one of our friends, which I will not name, really
course.
liked. And so we did that one for that.
Yes, we did the Gimme 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 dance. We were in 1970s costumes, and I remember at the
Yes.
time when you came out in the 1970s costumes, you went to the audience. Don't we look ridiculous? That's what you said. You went, don't we look ridiculous? Why?
Yeah,
why
but
did
it
why
was
did you say
just-
we look ridiculous?
No. I think it was just mostly because they were laughing, but not in a bad way. I think maybe back then I was like, "Oh my god, they're totally right." But no. I think just the more I look back, they were just laughing because like they weren't expecting it, and it just visually looks a little crazy, but in a good way. But I think I was doing that way to rile them up in a good way because they were laughing. And so I was really just like, okay, just think of the first thing that pops in your head. And that was just the first thing that popped in my head. But it was in a way, I believe the more I look back at it, as a way to just make them laugh, but to lighten the situation, because I'm sure one or two of us felt a bit awkward in the outfit. So by me saying that, it was just to lighten it and just make it a little bit more of a sillier situation.
That's interesting. So let's move on to a serious topic of mine that I have real good connections with, and it's called mental health. And I
Now,
know
we would just quickly like to reiterate, we will be talking about this, but we're not going to talk about this for too long. If any of you aren't comfortable with that, just move on with this, like skip a little bit more ahead. But we won't be talking about this for too long, so don't worry.
yeah. So for those who don't know, right, in 2016, which I think was before our little rivalry took place, in 2016, I was diagnosed with depression. Right, I know it sounds a bit out of the blue, but that is the truth. I was diagnosed with depression. Like nothing has caused me to be depressed, you know, and I wasn't like reacting to anything or whatever like that. You know, it's just the fact that my brain is just a bit dodgy. You know what I mean? Like I have an imbalance between happiness and mood. Right? Well, 1 minute I'm happy, and the next minute I'm just depressed and all that. So I did originally take medication. I did take a medication which balances the level of some little things in your head called serotonin. You know, I mean, it doesn't kick off like immediately. Like it just takes like a couple of days for it to kick in and balance the serotonin in. I started taking antidepressants back in March of 2021, and in around 2022, somewhere in 2022, I decided to stop taking antidepressants because back then I realized that the best medication for me was going out, doing lots of walks and exercise, rather than relying on some drowsy ass pill to help fix my problems. So yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I've been doing lots of walks whenever we have a sunny weather and all that. I've been doing loads of walks, and I'm making good progress. I'm losing considerable amounts of weight that I've put on throughout the COVID pandemic. So I want to because during our rivalry, or whatever you want to term it, you have, from my
Like I said,
experience, you have no
sorry, Buzz. Like I said, I wouldn't say just. I guess the best way to say it is just you could just say rocky camaraderie, or just a rocky friendship. I guess would best say it because, like I said, if there was rivalry, there would have to be jealousy on my end, and I don't think there was any jealousy on my end. Essentially, and there would have to be jealousy on your end too. And without a shadow of a doubt, I know for a fact the two of us collectively agree there was no jealousy. There absolutely wasn't.
Okay.
But anyway, proceed.
Yeah. So during this thing, I know that you have no respect for people with mental health. This is back then. I'm not talking about now. This is back then. Back then, during this whole camaraderie, you have no respect for mental health, or at least you didn't recognize that I've got mental health problems. And the thing is, I'm going to ask you here is, you have finally addressed it in a Q&A answer video you posted back in January of 2023, I think it was. What message, I mean, you already addressed this, but I want to ask, what message do you finally have for people struggling with their mental health or looking for help in regards to it?
Essentially, just the same thing like I said in the Q&A, because it's just such a tricky subject. Just essentially, just if you are struggling, just know that there are people out there that will help you. There are associations, there are programs, and there are people in general that are out there to help you. And if you really are struggling, there is nothing wrong with reaching out a hand and asking for help and looking for help. There is nothing wrong with it. And if you feel like that is the best thing to do for your mental health, don't be afraid to just ask or call for help, because there's always going to be something or someone there to help you with your mental health, essentially. And what I will say is I was always aware of mental health. I was always aware of it, like from growing up. Maybe not as a little kid, but just growing up, I was well aware of mental health. But like even back then, I would have just still said the same thing. Just if you feel like you're struggling, if you feel like things are too tough, just note that you're not alone. You have other people that will relate with you. But if you are looking for help, just don't be afraid to reach out and just get that help. Because everybody needs help. And if you need help, there is nothing wrong with that, because that means you care about yourself. And if you want to find help, find that help, because there is always something out. There is always someone out there. There is always help. You are never going to be alone. Just don't be afraid to reach out for it, because there is help out there and you will 100% find it.
Well said. Well said. I can't have said anything better. Right? I can't say anything better, because yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that point. Because especially within, like, because some people, because of COVID, loads of people have been affected by their mental health, including me. And some people out there don't underestimate the toll that COVID has on us, on all of us. Some of them have less time with themselves. Some people have more time with themselves. Some of them have been out in the world a lot more. Others have still been locked down in their own homes, and hell, some of them haven't even seen their families up until now. Everyone is different, everyone is very different. Everyone is different in terms of that whole thing. So to the viewers out there who still don't get all of this, right, it's worth reminding. We just survived through a pandemic. So if there is time to cut us all a little slack, it'll be right now.
Just essentially to everyone out there, if there is anyone who's listening and is like going through tough times or anything, there is nothing wrong with like looking for help. If it's a therapist, a counselor, anything like that, they are out there. And if you need it, you need it. You know what you need. And if you feel like you want to, go ahead, because absolutely prioritize yourself over everything else in terms of that. And if you need it, you need it.
Indeed. Exactly. So yeah, so after I retired in 2021, I've realized quickly that that's not how I want my story to end. You know what I mean? So I decided to, I'll just go through my battle with my own mental health, by just doing what I do best. You know, just go out, exercise more, and just learn to be positive. So
Exactly. And obviously you are now seeing the results for yourself. So yeah, and I'm sure your friends and family have seen that result. So yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. So I want to tell you. So from my, from my retirement to my recent return in July of 2023, have you finally took the time you need to show your support for me, no matter how small, probably no matter how small or big what I'm doing was?
Essentially, I guess you could say yes. And what I simply mean is just I've always been like, if that is what you want to do and you are happy with it, then go for it because you know yourself best. You know what you want to do for yourself. And that is basically me, yes, showing support, but that is also me being like, this is what I do for myself. I know what I want to do. I will do what I want to do. And if I'm happy with it, I will go with it. So it's basically me being like, you know who you are, you know what you want to do in terms of your mental health, but in terms of everything else in general. And if you want to do that, if that is only something that you want to do, and you're happy with it, then go for it. Because the first person that should absolutely be important in your relationships and your life is yourself. So I guess you could say, just by me always saying that, I am showing some action in regards to it. But essentially, just like you don't always have to take other people's well, no, what I mean essentially is you can absolutely take other people's advice and suggestions. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a good thing to do. Take other people's advice, take other people's suggestions, totally take it in. But once again, you know you very well. And if you honestly think deep down within you, within your gut, within your heart, like within your instincts, if that is something you want to do, then go for it. If you want to do something and you think that will make you happy and you want to do it and you feel it is the right thing to do, then go for it. Because once again, you matter to you. You should focus on yourself. So if you want to, you want to. Because once again, the most important person, aside from friends and family, but the most important person in your life that you should focus on is yourself. So really, like, I've just shown the teeniest amount of support, and that is not because like I don't care, absolutely not. It's simply just because you know yourself. You already know what you should be doing. I don't need to do anything because you're aware. You are a perfectly aware person. You know what you want to do. You know what you want to do. You know where you want to be. So just, yeah, you're already aware. That's all that matters.
Indeed. Again, well said. Well said. Could have said better than that. I mean, man, that is so good. So let's talk about the fact that not only that you're a YouTuber, but you're also an artist. You know that, as in you're an illustrator. So so my question to you is, I know somebody else had been asked you this before, but I thought I'd ask you anyway. Just basically, what really has gotten you into this world of art, of illustrations and all that stuff? What has got you into this world, really?
Essentially, it was all thanks to Sonic X. After watching Sonic X and like growing up with like how to draw VHS tapes and everything, they were my main jumping off point essentially. But I would say Sonic X is the big one.
Okay. I know.
But sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Now, I know you're not really into asking me questions, but if you want to know what got me into art and illustrations, for those who don't know, I'm also.
Well, if that's the case, if you were also, sorry, apologies, if you were also like into whole art thing, were you also inspired by like a cartoon show or an anime or something, or was it something completely different?
Okay. But if you want to know how I got myself into the world of art and illustrations, all that, I think it was just me just watching cartoons when I was a young kid, really, and got in when I was in primary school, and when there was art involved, I suddenly became enthralled with art, and then when I was going more into art and drawing like that, and also wanted to evolve more into the world of art. And that's when I discovered modeling clay, or plasticine, as we say in England. The show that got me interested in going to make modeling clays out of anything was Wallace and Gromit. Yep, Wallace.
Of course.
Yeah, Wallace and Gromit inspired me to do model making. I mean, I haven't done it for a while. I mean, because I was busy with my other things. But I used to make fantastic plasticine models out of based upon whatever. So I used to take part years ago. I used to take part in a thing called community games, where we recreate Irish sport or whatever using art.
In like whatever style you want to do, like
In whatever
for
art
you,
style,
it
yeah.
was like
Yeah, in
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, no, because I took part in that as well, so I know what that is.
Oh,
and
really?
everything, So yeah.
Oh, really?
It was a good few years ago. I only took part like twice. Just that's all.
I actually took part in it, like, I guess twice or three times. I can't remember how many times. It was years ago. I mean, I took part in it twice, and I think I won a few in terms of that. So I've done that. So yeah,
Nice. As for me, I've only won like once, but honestly, perfectly fine with me. I don't mind only winning one time.
So as of now, I've been doing a lot more of digital art, as in like photoshopping and all the other kinds of stuff. So ever since I have a computer, and ever since I got Photoshop back in 2013 or 2014, I can't remember, I became like a master of photoshopping. I've been learning the tips of the trades of using the Photoshop program, and yeah, I did some fantastic digital art using Photoshop with it then, and all that. What about you? What about you? Have you been working on any new drawings lately?
As of lately, I just mostly sketch random things in my sketchbook, just whatever I want to do. But they're mostly just in my free time, and if I feel like putting them up on DeviantArt, then I will. But the core ones I like to do that I mostly focus on, then that really gets my attention the most, anyways, digital art. And at the moment, I'm not focusing on any digital art. I am currently working on a request journal at the moment, but I haven't started working on that yet, as I will be picking the 5 I want to do eventually. But for now, I'm just chilling, seeing the 5 I could potentially want to pick, and just sketching random things in my free time, as I like to do both traditional and digital artwork. I find that a lot of fun. And every now and again, just dabbling in mixed media, which is mostly with photos and everything. But I don't do that too much, as I just like to do a variety. But essentially, yeah.
That's interesting. Like, do you have any drawings you like to show me? Or I mean, we've got like plenty of time before we come off the air. But do you have any new drawings you'd like to send to me, or would you prefer to show them to me when we, meet in person sometime?
Yes, I can show a quick one now at the moment. I will just quickly get it here. We're gonna go in the slightly technical route, ladies and gentlemen. This might just take a few fairly quick minutes. But
All right.
yes, I will get a very quick one that I've done. I'll just get two very quick sketches that I had made that
Oh, here we go.
will present here in this
Hang on, I just got a text message here. Oh, here we go.
Mhm.
So what's this here that you sent me?
So these are the most recent sketches I have done, and these are just random doodles that I like to do. They can be anything and everything, and I like making anything and everything. So the top one is just a traditional sketch of Haruka, aka Sailor Uranus from Sailor Moon. And then at the bottom is one of my original characters, Ramera, and a friend of mine's named Kasai, and they are My Hero Academia original characters. And I just wanted to doodle them because I just wanted to doodle them. But that's just a fairly quick example.
Oh, that looks really good. I mean, yeah. I mean, do you have anything else, or is that completely it?
I have met a bunch more, but honestly, it would take quite a while to snap all the pictures and everything. So that's the most recent one I can show. Because if I took any more, it'd take way too long.
I understand, but looking at this right now, I know it's going to be shown on the right side of the screen here, but yeah, I mean, you probably have that looks really good. Honestly, I think you have improved well on your art skills and all that stuff, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud
Thank
of
you
you,
very
actually.
much. Thank you. Well, it's all just essentially experimenting and practicing. Just like practicing and practicing, messing around with like different types of pens, markers, pencils, and everything. The results show, but it's just through practice, having fun, and just doodling that I have improved that much. But that is the same for any artist. It's just practice, 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 and just not giving up and putting all hard work, effort, and care into it, and the result can be seen for any artist, myself included.
Nice. That's really interesting. What about YouTube videos and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Like YouTube videos. Have you got any like YouTube videos you're currently working on that you'd like to give us a scoop on?
Well, I'm not going to go too much into a scoop, not because of spoilers, but just because like I still have to like potentially work on certain aspects of them, and they're much later on down the line. But I will be eventually I will be putting a comparison video of the rough version and the final version of the Bumblebee prologue animatic, as it will give me plenty of time to work and really put in care and detail into the animatic that I will be making for October. It is not going to be Halloween themed, but it is one that I've really been wanting to do on a really nice cover of a track from the How to Train Your Dragon films. I'm not going to say which one it is, but it's a very short cover, but it is one where I can definitely get very playful and really come up with an interesting tone in a fun way. But essentially just possibly sometime this month I'll be putting up the comparison video, and then I'll be mainly focusing on that other video. But they're the two main ones anyway. As for any future ones, I am not sure, because I haven't thought of anything just yet. I've just been focused on these next two coming up.
Okay. About that video you just mentioned there, I can't wait to check out when it gets uploaded and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, I'm just doing my thing, you know. I've been trying to work on more episodes of, well, Ryan reacts and that stuff. I was trying to react to a trailer that recently came out for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 that just came out like a few days ago. But obviously with time commitments, that can't happen. So I'm just gonna find something else. Now I know
Sorry, apologies. If anyone's wondering how I feel about the film, to be fair, I'm with the huge majority. But once again, I'm a very calm, casual Sonic fan now, but I agree with everyone else. This film looks really, really fun and really, really interesting. And Keanu absolutely is perfect for the role, and it just looks like it'll be a very fun and interesting film. I I'm probably not going to make a reaction video to it, simply just because I'm basically with everyone else. So I don't know what else I would say. I'm just like, hey, I'm with everybody in terms of the hype. Everything everyone else is saying is exactly how I feel, and it's true. So yeah.
okay, that's understandable. So yeah, we're coming near to the couple of few minutes of this conversation here. So a few quick questions here before we leave you there. Like, I don't know, three, I guess, two, three, I don't know, but I'll go ahead anyway. So now that we're on good terms, at least from this conversation so far, what do you think will be the future of you and I? What do you think will be the future of you and I?
Okay. Well, essentially, well, yeah. Well, Essentially, I am flying the coop. I'm moving on and doing things in my life, both in terms of my artwork, work, and my private life in general. I'm taking pretty big life steps, and I want to face them like everybody does. I'm becoming more independent in my life, and in other words, I'm just moving on from all of this and doing what I want to do to make myself happy in terms of just physically, mentally, and just in my life in general. But I'm just doing my own thing, and I'm just moving on to things that I want to do or need to do, and that I'm happy with, and that just help me live. Yeah, I'm just basically becoming an independent, mature adult who is just doing what they want to do, essentially. But in terms of just us in general, essentially, in regards to my private life, honestly, if this means that this whole thing has to end, then I'd rather have it end on good terms or good omens rather than being what it always was, which was honestly rocky and difficult. That's the best way to put it.
Well, it seems like we are on good terms anyway, because honestly, uh I'm so happy that you from the based upon this conversation so far, I think that you may have changed a little bit. I think from into the Shinata Vida that I've known 5 years or 10 years ago. So, and I'm really happy. Regardless, I'm really happy for everything that you've done. It's and that's weird for me to say this.
I will. Sorry, I was about to say. To be fair, I've always still been the exact same Shinada Beta. I'm just being more like aware, more mature, more cautious, but just more like just acting more proper and the right way to do, not only in terms of social media, but just in my life in general. I'm just basically, I'm growing up. I'm just becoming mature. I'm becoming independent, but I'm doing the right things and the wrong things. I'm just basically just living my life and doing what I want to do to make myself happy, essentially. But I've always been the exact same person. I'm just now like taking all the lessons that I've learned from my friends and family and just putting them into account and doing what I want to do and making sure that I'm perfectly happy, perfectly safe, and perfectly content.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm doing the same thing too. I'm doing the same thing as what you're doing. Yeah, being moving on from the past and doing what I want. I think is best and all that stuff. So I'm doing the same thing as what you're doing. So
That makes sense.
oh yeah, sort of a bit cut off there, but anyway, so yeah, but regardless, regardless of how we're on good terms, would you like to? Would we like? Would they? Would we like to? Would you like to see us, or would you like to see you and I reunite and collaborate more often now that we're, of course, on good terms?
This is just mostly in terms of collaborations, but essentially to answer the question, I might do some in the future, but honestly, only if I feel like it or I want to do them. Because in all honesty, like I want to branch out and collaborate with more people on various projects. I really don't want to stick to the same person repeatedly, just because it's just fun to collaborate with different people on different ideas. And I just love it in general. It's so much fun to just branch out and have a variety. So I might, like, maybe I might in the future, or like if ever I feel like it, but just maybe not as much as I used to. And once again, it's just simply because I want to branch out and collaborate with more people and projects. And also just like, yeah, I just want to do that. I just essentially, I don't mind doing some, but I just want to like have a little bit more fun freedom, essentially. I guess that's the best way to do it. Just like open it up, have some more fun, and just work with more than like one person. Like maybe collaborate with this one or this one or this one. That doesn't mean I'm saying no, I don't want to. It'll just be up to me if I want to collaborate. But I just want to, I guess you could say, open my wings. I guess just open those wings and just pick whomever I want to. But essentially, that's my answer. It's just I will collaborate in the future, but only if I feel like it or want to, but I just want to open it more and collaborate with more than like one person. I want to collaborate with just different people in general.
So basically, you're saying is probably the sky's the limit, right? The sky's the
Yeah,
limit.
essentially. Yeah, essentially. But once again, like it's essentially just going to be if I feel like it or if I want to do the project or collaboration that I'll join in. If I don't feel like it, or if there's one part of it where I'm like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that, then I'm not going to do it and everything.
Right. So there you have it, guys. The sky is the limit. When it comes to us reuniting or meeting in person or whatever the hell that you and I, in terms of you and I, the sky is the limit. Or maybe probably the whole fucking universe or something, you know?
And I will, and I will say, if we don't reunite, that is absolutely not a problem. We still communicate, like if we want to. If we want to communicate, we can communicate. There's nothing wrong with it. We don't have to like meet in person if our lives are going in completely different directions and we want to do our own thing. There is nothing wrong with still communicating through like DeviantArt or something. There's still nothing wrong with that. Because even just small talk is perfectly fine, and I still find that just as like a-okay with me and everything.
Right. Okay. So, oh man, I tell you what, it's been great speaking to you for the first time in 6 years, and I find it really,
Thank you, and the same to you too.
and I find this really, really interesting because we opened more about ourselves. We talked honestly and all this stuff, and yeah, I mean, this whole conversation's been long overdue. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know if it's going to happen or not, but it happened. You know, 6 years later, and here we are. We moved on from our rivalry, dare I say, and
Yeah, rivalry and abbreviations.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I just didn't know when was going to happen, but I feel, yeah, it's really happening. And after 6 long years, we now evolved more. We've probably learned more about ourselves now. And I think,
Yes, we definitely have. Like every person will know more about themselves and learn more about themselves as they get older and they're away from certain people or they're doing their own thing. Like everybody does. So we definitely have essentially.
so, yeah, I am stammering because this is a big moment for all of us because it's been 6 years since we last spoken, and I'm stammering so a lot because it's just incredible, and I'm really happy that you've changed, and or at least I thought it was so far. We'll let the audience decide, but I'm so glad you've
Well,
changed.
I wouldn't necessarily, well, okay, yes, I have changed, but essentially just I'm still the exact same person. I'm just now handling things in a way that I guess you could say just is more logical, makes more sense, and is just coming from a mature and more understanding and controlling manner in a way that makes me feel content and happy in terms of myself. And also in terms of just caring for myself and making sure that I'm safe, I'm content, I'm not like nervous or stressed or anything, but I'm still the exact same person. I'm just being more mature and more like very like on a balanced side of view in terms of handling things and all that kind of stuff.
Brilliant. Yeah, so that's brilliant. I mean, that's that is incredible. I mean, yeah. So same time next week then.
So, okay, maybe not literally, but
I'm
I see
only,
what you did there.
I'm only joking, all right? I'm only
Of
joking.
course.
But look, listen. I can't wait for round two, honestly, because it's an interesting conversation. Like I said, we've both been talking a lot of honesty and all that stuff. We've matured a lot, and yeah, and that's incredible. So, yeah, but yeah, I can't wait for round two. So, but if we do meet in person, whenever, the next time we do meet in person, I gotta be honest, prepare for both of us to be destroyed with hugs and everything else that we used to do when we were kids, right? That's a promise.
But even if we don't destroy ourselves with hugs, it's still perfectly fine to give like the whole like, hi there, hello, how are you, nice to see you again. So even if the destroying of hugs doesn't happen, that can happen, which is also perfectly normal and fine. And once again, like I said, even if we even say there's the chance that we never meet each other again in person, there's still nothing wrong with just having social media and like chatting through there. And I'm not just saying this in terms of us, I just mean everyone in general. Even if you have a friend or someone you know and you can't meet up physically as much as you used to, there's still nothing wrong with like having other ways of chatting to one another. It's just completely up to whomever and whatever they want to do. But there's nothing wrong with that. Either way, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So yeah, there we go, guys. We are back. We could say is we're back after 6 long years, and I'm happy with that decision. And
Essentially, sorry, I was going to say, essentially, we're back. We're still doing our own thing, but we're back. This is in the past, and now we're just going to move on and do our own thing. But like, we just wanted to do this. But now that we have done this, we'll just move on and do whatever we want to do, regardless if we collaborate or not. We just like wanted to try this out.
Yep, that is true. So yeah, but I mean, before we end this off here, do you have anything nice you want to say to the viewers, especially to those that may still hate you after 6 long years?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say hate or anything. I will say just like if I wouldn't say hate, but really just like I will say just it's in the past now, everyone. Let's just not worry about it anymore. But to anyone who is listening to this and you found it interesting, I don't blame you. It's perfectly fine and everything. But I think just in general for everyone, it's just all in the past. Like I'm not even thinking like I'd probably say even if there were haters, they're not there anymore. They've probably moved on. They're probably just letting it go. In fact, I have a very strong inkling that a ton of people have already let the whole fiasco go and they don't care anymore. So I really don't think I have any haters, really, because honestly, I feel like they've probably moved on because to them it's like, oh, this stupid little situation or this silly little situation is now over. So why should we linger on it anymore and everything? And I don't know, like I just feel like I don't have any, and that's just simply because I probably say they just moved on like I have done, like you have done, and they just don't care about it anymore, which totally makes sense.
That's right. I'm pretty sure. I hope those haters move on from this because look, everything we've done is in the past. You know,
Exactly. Like
everything's in the past.
It's in the past. It doesn't matter anymore. We don't need to focus on it anymore. All that matters is just here and now and just moving forward.
Indeed. So this concludes the inaugural episode of my RUMBLIN podcast. So if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like on this. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media is, and following us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Buzzsprout, or wherever where you get your audios from. And until next time, guys, keep it uncensored.
So sorry, apologies before we peace out. I'm on YouTube, everyone, and I'm also on Instagram and DeviantArt. They're my main social media sites, so you can check me out there if you want to, guys. Completely up to you. So yeah.
Indeed. Should we do a little bit of a little trademark outros before we end this off?
Well, I guess so. If you want to go first, I don't know what you want to do.
Yeah, you go first. You go first. You know.
Oh. All right. Well, listen. That was. It's certainly been a long one, but I hope you guys enjoyed it regardless. And even if certain parts got your attention more, that is completely okay. I do not blame you guys. But anyway, Thank you very much for having me, and thank you all who are listening. I hope you're all having a lovely time, and I hope you're all enjoying yourselves, regardless of what's going on and regardless of what you're doing. So, anyway, from my side, this is Shanana Bita saying over now, and I'll
And
see all you guys. Well, maybe not in my next video, but I'll see you whenever. And if you want to check out my stuff, absolutely fine, fire away.
But also, this has been Ryan Fouracre saying, signing out. And until next time, guys, keep it uncensored. Bye!
See ya!